there, Eliza here, and this is something I wanted to do with a lot of cartoons that I watched throughout my life to see if they still hold up. I could have started with something from my early childhood like Robotech, but I wanted to start with a series I've had on my mind a lot lately, Ben 10. As the show starts, we get a battle in space between two ships that is unfortunately kind of stilted. The ships move stiffly and the animation is kinda not the greatest, but it does set up Vilgax pretty well. The sudden shift to Ben as he says nothing will stand in his way informs us that Ben will stand in his way, which does make you wonder how a 10-year-old can stop a space Cthulhu man. It is unfortunate that the paper airplane that he folds and throws actually seems a bit better animated than the space battle was a minute earlier, and I'm going to say this right now. I wish animated series that are serialized and have openings that spoil the plot of the show did not have the opening in the first episode. Or at the very least, copy Japan and have the opening for the first episode at the end of the episode. I don't like the opening animation here because it's mostly just scenes from future episodes. I hate when shows do that. Especially since that is mostly reserved for crappy American openings to Japanese anime. And anyways, after the opening spoils the entire plot of the episode and show, I will say this. The song is an earworm, and I love it. Just listen for a few seconds. I'm going to play what I can so I don't get copyright claimed. I will say I don't remember all the grainy texture on all the objects in the show. It's a choice, not one I can say I like though. It clashes a bit with how smooth all the characters are in my opinion. Though I could see an argument for it making them pop more. The show does do a good job at showing that even though he's a bit of a troublemaker, his heart is in the right place and deep down he is good. Even if he isn't able to back up his heroic heart at the moment. It also does a good job of introducing the bullies JT and Catch, who, while not important now, I know become important later on. At least a little bit. The quick introduction to Gwen and Grandpa Max also does a great job of showcasing Max's general easygoing yet stern when needed personality, Gwen's snarkiness, and the attitude Ben and Gwen have towards each other organically. Need to hand it to the acting and to the writer for the episode who wrote natural-sounding dialogue, and I am glad I looked him up right now. His name is Tom Pugsley, and he did some great episodes for Teen Titans, including Masks, the episode that introduced Red X as a character, as well as episodes for The Batman, Jackie Chan Adventures, Men in Black, and 15 more episodes for Ben 10. I love them nailing down character traits early on. The banter between Ben and Gwen, Grandpa Max's unusual taste in foods, which in a way does hint at his more extraordinary past, and how they act as a family unit. The next space battle scene is better animated than the first, but not by much. And I'm kind of disappointed. This episode had 2 space battle scenes that felt underwhelming. However, the explosion on Vilgax's ship does look good, as does the jettisoning of the Omnitrix. Again, I love Max trying to be a mediator between his 2 grandkids being brats. You can tell he just wants them to get along. The quiz between the 2 kids, though, is great as well, and it reminds me a lot of me and my brother when we didn't get along. And so far, the Omnitrix latching onto Ben's arm has been the best animation of the episode. It has a lot of great fluidity to it, and Ben flailing to get it off is great as well. And after a brief interlude to Max and Gwen, we get more great animation. Seriously, they made sure the transformation scenes looked great because they knew they were going to be using them multiple times. And the transformation here into Heat Blast is amazing. Also, the character animation for Heat Blast is great as well. I love the lava-like parts under the magma armor and the fiery hair. The lava parts have an almost Kirby crackle to them, which makes sense as this show loves the Kirby crackle. The fire starting, though, is not as well animated, and the fact we don't get to see it start, just him launching the fireball, reacting, and then trying to put it out, is a bit sad. Again, Max quickly realizing either Ben is out there and might be in trouble, or that Ben might have started the forest fire is another good hint that he used to do something that required snap judgment. And Gwen standing up to what she thinks is a monster shows that she is just as heroic as Ben, and the fact that she quickly realizes that it's Ben shows that she's also rather smart and deductive. When Max arrives shortly after and is told that he blesses Ben, the fact that he reacts mostly with just concern says a lot. He knows more than he is letting on. The fact that Ben and Gwen don't immediately realize that there is something more going on with Max than what he says shows how much they trust him and that they think he's just a normal, kindly grandfather. And oh my gods, The animation on that robot jettisoning, landing, transforming, and then launching out those two drones, that was well done. Kudos on that animation. I also like how they show that Ben is impulsive while Gwen is cautious with just a few lines of dialogue, which is followed by yet another great transformation scene. And I love the design of Wildmutt. I forget if we ever see the planet he is from, but I get the feeling they are mostly cave dwellers or on a planet that has little lights because of how it sees. It doesn't see like a normal being, but how something with heat vision or echolocation would. Almost like the Shriekers from Tremors. For being the first battle scene, I love the fight between Ben as Wildmutt and the drone, leaping through the trees, the attack from above, riding on top while tearing it apart, and the shoulder to the second drone from Gwen just as it seems Ben is doomed not only again shows her heroic nature, but also that she actually does care for her cousin. Max is a standout in this episode. Instead of trying to stop Ben from using the Omnitrix the moment he realizes Ben might be in danger with it on, he suggests to teach Ben how to use it. And that look he gives when Ben says that people are in danger because of him having the watch, you can tell he wants to tell Ben that it's not his fault, but knows it's not the time. And we get a third transformation in this episode into Diamond Head. And again, it looks great. Also, again, I love the look of Diamond Head. He has a great heroic silhouette and it is possibly my favorite of the original 10. I love that we finally get a sense of scale of the robot Vilgax sent down at this point. The bot is huge, able to pick up a park ranger in its hand. It also lets you know that Vilgax is huge as well, as this thing wasn't much bigger than Vilgax on the ship. It subtly informs you of the threat Vilgax holds. And while the entire Diamond Head vs. Robot isn't the best animated, there are some beautiful sequences. The finale of Ben reflecting the beam back shows that Ben is quick on his feet. Gotta say I love that runoff after Ben says, "I think my work here is done." The only miss-up of this episode comes at the end. I really wish we had gotten to see the transformation into Accelerate, and I dislike Ben using the form to get revenge on JT and Cash. Yes, he is a 10-year-old and 10-year-olds can be petty brats, but I think it was an unnecessary scene. So, does the first episode of Ben 10 hold up 15 years later? I'd say yes. The animation is a little stiff at times, but there are a few bits of good fluid animation, but that's not where this show shines. This show shines in the character writing and acting, especially Grandpa Max. Even today, I'd say this episode would make new fans and get old fans hyped for continuing to watch this show. The only problem I have with the episode, other than the occasional stiff animation, is the ending and the opening, as I really felt it was unnecessary to have Ben put JT and Cash in the tree, and I would have preferred each alien getting the transformation sequence the first time they are seen, and the opening sequence is bad. The song is great, the opening is bad. Anyways, on the next episode of Does It Hold Up, I'll be taking a look at the first episode of one of my favorite shows as a little kid, The Adventures of the Gummy Bears. If you like this show and want to support it, I have a Patreon. If you want to support me because I am homeless at the moment, I have a GoFundMe. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please be 18, and I have it right here. And like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. Bye!